Liberals have always aimed to infuse their politics into entertainment, but they no longer feel the need to be subtle about it. Comedians whose only goal was to be funny have been transformed by PC culture into leftist propaganda bots. A shining example of this is comedian Sarah Silverman. Silverman built a reputation for being edgy and abrasive. In 2001, she faced intense blowback for telling a joke about Chinese people that actually lampooned racists. When PC authoritarians tried to get her to apologize, she didn't back down.
And I feel that that joke is a joke that points a finger at racism, just like it's your job to point your finger at racism. And I think that it's inappropriate and it's counterproductive to demand an apology for someone who, like you, is illuminating racism just for doing it in a different way that you do it.
I think you're giving yourself too much credit.
But Silverman and other comedians eventually gave up on trying to be funny and fully embraced social justice.
Everyone's going to be offended by something, so you can't just decide on your material based on not offending anyone. But I do think it's important as a comedian, as a human, to change with the times, to change with new information. And to that effect, I think you have to listen to the college-aged, because they lead the revolution. They're pretty much always on the right side of history.
The college kids Silverman speaks of have been indoctrinated by years of Marxist professors. This move to the authoritarian left has caused Silverman and other liberals in entertainment to adopt the talking points of Democratic socialist Bernie Sanders. Silverman recently interviewed Sanders for her show, where the Vermont senator joked about America being a cruel imperialist power.
We can't even use dirty words. This is the United States Senate.
I can't?
No, it's the United States Senate. We just starve little children. We go bomb houses and buses of children. And we give tax breaks to billionaires, but we don't use dirty words.
This naked anti-Americanism now sits at the core of the Democratic Party. Sanders, who honeymooned in Russia at the height of the Cold War, never met a communist dictator he didn't like.
In 1985, you praised the Sandinista government and you said that Daniel Ortega was an impressive guy. This is what you said about Fidel Castro. Let's listen.
You may recall way back in, what was it, 1961, they invaded Cuba. And everybody was totally convinced that Castro was the worst guy in the world, that all the Cuban people were going to rise up in rebellion against Fidel Castro. They had forgotten that he educated their kids, gave them health care, totally transformed the society.
Sanders completely ignored Castro's vile human rights abuses and denials of basic freedoms, like being able to leave the country, because he was a true believer for the cause of worldwide socialism. Dedicated leftists like Sanders will make excuses for any failed socialist outcomes.
You know, it's funny, sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
Apparently, the people of Venezuela don't think bread lines are a good thing. The rampant corruption and mismanagement of the socialist government, which was routinely praised by prominent members of the left until it collapsed, has led to massive food shortages in a country rich in natural resources.
Y acabo de buscar mi bolsa solidaria en un club. Me dieron una leche, 1 kilo de caraotas, un aceite, 2 kilos de harina pan, 2 kilos de arroz y un jugo de guayaba. Esto después de anotarnos en una lista hace 3 semanas, donde nos censaron los hábitos de mi familia, censaron cuántas habitaciones había en mi casa, cuántos baños, cuántas personas vivían en ella. Y a las 3 semanas entonces nos llega nuestra bolsa solidaria. Obviamente esto tiene que durar un...
Leftists like Sanders attack America every chance they get but make excuses for socialist dictators. The song is always the same. When government gets too big, it leads to violent totalitarian control. One of the left's biggest attempts to seize control over the economy is through healthcare. Sanders has been pushing for nationalized healthcare and hasn't been able to tell anybody how he intends to pay for it.
Bernie has talked about providing health care for free from the government. You know what? The simplest principle in economics is Tonstoffel. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. The liberal-leaning Urban Institute scored Bernie's health plan, concluded it would cost $2.5 trillion in the first year and $32 trillion over 10 years. Now, how much is that? Trillions is a big number. It's not clear what that is. Let me put it in perspective. All of the federal income taxes we pay today are about $1.5 trillion a year. $2.5 trillion means every one of us paying income taxes would have to about triple what you pay in income taxes to get an additional $2.5 trillion. Now, Bernie, no doubt, is going to come back and say, no, 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 no. None of you are going to pay. Just the rich. Well, how about if we took every person that makes over $1 million a year and confiscated 100% of their income, took every penny that they make? That would raise only enough money to fund Bernie's plan for 5 months. Here's another idea. How about if the government confiscated the assets of Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and ExxonMobil? If it came in, illegally seized those companies and sold them, that would pay for 1 year of Bernie's plan. If you don't want to see your taxes triple, in addition to the wait list, in addition to the rationing, in addition to fewer MRIs and mammograms, to worse care, then you don't want to see Bernie's Medicaid for all. You want to see cheap, affordable health care that you can choose, that puts you in control.
The truth is, Sanders can't pay for it, but if he gets his way, the American people will pay for it with their freedom. If you would like more real news that you can trust, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel.